it's not to say that you can just say, hey, universe, can I have £1,000,000, please? Show me a sign it's coming, because it doesn't work like that. But it will give you opportunities to build on that, because it's always about inspired action. It's always about action. Like nothing just comes to you, like, but it will put the stepping stones in your path that will lead you to what it is that you want for yourself.
And welcome to Self-Discovery in Good Company. Hi, Steph.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm so good, thank you. Well, I say so good. I'm okay. I say so good, like I'm so great. No, because
I'm fine. You like Ross friends. I'm fine.
I'm fine. No, I'm not, because Mercury is in retrograde, and I have never ever bought into these things. You know what I've always said to you? Well, I'm like, guys, the moon, is that really, like, I always used to think, Stace, you're having me on telling me it's the moon that's like creating like
See,
this.
I thought you believed me with the moon.
Yeah, I do, but I'm like, does the moon actually do that? But I have come to learn the last couple of months, the moon does actually do that. And I have been proven wrong that 100% does, because it's like, but I just felt there was a while you were always like, Stacey, it's the moon. I'm like, you said it was the moon last week. What's going on with the moon this week?
You get a few opportunities a month to blame the moon, because you have the full moon and then you have the new moon. And when you're near those, you can also blame the moon. So there's a few options.
So you can always blame the moon.
Ish. Yeah. Or hopefully there's some sort of retrograde you could also blame. But no, honestly though, I'm not glad that you feel it, but I have felt off since probably just Monday. And it's because Mercury went into retrograde at the start of the week. And people are going to listen to this and be like,
yeah, bollocks.
Beautiful. And we get it. Even when I hear myself say it, I sometimes think it's a load of bollocks.
I know. I keep saying it to Gav. I was like, oh God, Mercury, it's really messing with me. And he's like, are you sure you're not just a moody cow? Well, that too, but definitely the moon is affecting it more. And I'm also part of a spiritual development group. And that group chat was going off on it this week.
Was it? Oh my God, I'd love to be in that group chat.
Everyone is feeling it, man. Everyone's feeling it.
Loads of people I've spoken to have been feeling it too.
So I definitely feel like it's been messing with my head. But I have been good otherwise, because my boys turned 1. That was lovely. Yay. It was so nice. Such a special, special time.
It was lovely. We had a lovely party.
It was so good. It was so good. It was just really, really nice. And yeah, so it has been lovely, but at the same time, I've been like losing the heat over little things, and I'm like, it's Mercury, Gav. It's definitely
you
Mercury.
sent me a voice note about, because you're switching
Oh my God,
the voice in Sadie's room, and honestly, I want to listen back to it and count how many times she said stuff. I've just got so much stuff. It was the way you were saying it.
Honestly.
And then I was listening to it thinking, gosh, she's saying stuff a lot. And then you're like, and I can't even think of another word for it, because it's just stuff.
Honestly, I was ready to just like actually leave this week. I was like, oh my God, like trying to decorate on Easter week, like holidays, and trying to move bedrooms when you've got so much stuff. Like, honestly, the stuff. I still haven't thought of a better word for stuff than it, but the amount, I have a better word, shite. Like, I have so much shite everywhere that I was just like, just bin it, just get rid of it, just get rid of it. And I was like, are you sure you want to bin this? I'm like, I just want it out my house, just get all the stuff.
Did you clear out a load of stuff?
We did.
I love a trip to the skip.
I know you do. It's one of your favorites. It's one of your favorite things to do. Well,
easily pleased.
We had a couple of tip runs, but we had like tons of stuff that was still in such good nick that, like, kids' toys and stuff like that. Like Sadie, she's, got tons of babies and all that stuff and all the paraphernalia. And I was like, right, listen, we're getting rid of this. But some of it was like, it was just too good to just put to the tip. So we went out to Somebody Cares in like Bridgestone, and it's such a great place. It's like got so much. It's honestly,
it's so annoying when you realize you're saying a word so much. And now I know I can see you try it. Like, was it paraphernalia? Like, well done. 9:10 at night. You've had a glass of wine as well, which we've not shared, but you have because it was needed, and you've thrown that word in.
Paraphernalia. I know. So anyway, we took all the paraphernalia to there, and hopefully that means that somebody else will get the use of it. But I'm starting to feel better. I feel like I'm coming out of it. I think it's maybe the wine that's done it. Like the wine is lifting.
I felt it at the start of this week, and I just felt funky, and I couldn't even like tell you why. I just felt in such a funk and just low vibe, low energy. I was getting a bit irritated more than I usually would. And Mercury retrograde, and I said this on my stories if anyone listened, it is renowned for messing with your tech. So I know this sounds, even as I say it, I know it sounds silly, good, but it's renowned for messing with your tech. And like almost like things stop working, or like, well, look at what happened this week was Instagram, and was there not something that happened with Instagram this week? It stopped working.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
Or there's this big thing, like I put a story up yesterday and you're the only person that liked it. No, I'm not, please note, I'm not blaming Mercury for this. But usually we'd get a bit more engagement on the content than that. But I think that's happening with a lot of people. I'll just blame the planet. But anyway,
it's definitely the moon's fault that nobody liked my Instagram story.
No, it was a post.
It's also the moon's fault that I'm fat.
Oh my gosh. Right. But anyway, I'm okay with it. I'm not validated by it.
I'm totally okay with it. I'm totally okay by it. Absolutely.
But I'm seeing loads of people saying like that they're putting stuff out there, no one's seeing it, and anyway, there's loads of tacky stuff.
Yes.
And for me, I was lying in bed and I do a visualization before I go to sleep, because after my hypnotherapy, you have to do visualizations.
Yes.
You have to do visualization for 21 days. So I mean, that maybe sounds impressive, but picture me. I get into my bed. I put on my LED face mask, which is 10 minutes.
I want one of them.
I know. I got it on a deal. My best friend messaged me and she was like, oh my God, look at how good this is. And it was only like £90 or something, which is cheap compared to what they're like. Anyway.
Yeah, they are expensive.
So I put that on, and then I put my visualization on. I go to sleep. So I basically fall asleep with that on. And then I wake up at the end of the visualization and then put on my face moisturizer, go to sleep. But anyway, what I'm meaning is it's low effort visualization. So, and I was lying there and I'd fallen asleep, and all of a sudden my new alarm clock, because I got that to stop playing with my phone as much at night, my new alarm clock just burst out in like a song, and it's not even my alarm sound. And I shot up in my bed and I was like, oh my God, what was that? And that was on Sunday night. And then I, like semi-remembered it. And it wasn't till the next day I was like, then my phone froze. I could not get my phone to work for like 40 minutes because I'd used it like the card bit to scan out of the gym car park. And then I just couldn't get it to work for 40 minutes. And I even was trying, I like Googled on my laptop, like how to fix it, wouldn't work. And then that was it. And then all of a sudden, even though my phone wasn't working, I pressed play on my Sonos, because like I'm so extroverted when it comes to music. I can't have like any quiet. Whenever I'm in the house, I have to have some sort of music on. So I put on press play and it didn't work. And then like was cooking, and 10 minutes later, my Sonos just started playing. But it was like so weird because it was Beyonce's new like country album, and it was like the guy speaks in it, and it was just him speaking, and then it stopped again.
Bit creepy.
Very creepy. And then I had issues uploading the podcast. I had issues uploading on YouTube. Honestly, so many little techie things. My phone was doing weird things. It was like opened up old pictures, strange. Gremlins.
I know. And you only got 1 like on that post.
So if you're listening, if you want to go back and have a look
and
at
like it.
March Magic, I'm just kidding.
It was pretty magic.
March was magic. But yeah. Anyway, that's the biggest one. Not the creepy sonus, playing or anything. It's the fact I only got 1 like.
Oh, honestly, this moon, it needs to do one.
Yeah, I know. It's supposed to last 20 days or something.
Oh,
and it's 4 times a year. But
honestly,
I already feel like it's lifting. I already feel like it's lifting.
If I have to feel like this for another 20 days, honestly, somebody's heads will roll. Honestly, it's not good.
Will roll.
It is not good.
Gav's listening in the kitchen, cowering. Like,
oh no. Oh, I mean, he just lives in a permanent state of fear. But we, in keeping with the old moon theme, we're going to do like another little bit of a spiritual podcast tonight.
Yes. We've
a little bit of
amazing feedback about all of our woo-woo-ness.
Love a woo-woo.
We could speak about woo-woo all day.
All day.
So we're going to do it on that. We're going to do it on spirituality, and we were playing about what would the topic be. And this is one I've had a few questions about before. So we're going to go with signs from the universe.
Signs from the universe. Love
it. Communicating with the universe almost, and how to speak to the universe, I would say.
I
honestly love it.
Honestly,
it is literally it is literally my favorite thing to hear stories about.
Oh, any story. Any story about it. I love hearing people's signs. Please message me them all because I love them all.
Yes, message us them all. Message us them all. So, Stace, how did you kind of get into it, or what was the first experience you had with it? Or
let me tell you.
Thank you.
I think I've mentioned this before, that one of my first dabbles into the old spiritual world was through Gabby Bernstein. Love her books, and The Universe Has Your Back will always be like my numero uno, like book that I've read it. Honestly, I mean, it takes me like 6 months to read a book. I rattled through this one, and I've read it over and over again because I flipping love it, and it speaks to me, man. And she, in The Universe Has Your Back, speaks about. Now, I'm saying The Universe Has Your Back. It's in that one. It's also, she speaks about it in Super Tractor as well. I also love Super Tractor. Great one as well. So I would read
them back to back, I think.
Yes, so did I, because
you just want more, don't you? You read the first book and you just want more.
Give me more. But she speaks about asking the universe for a sign. So I guess it's kind of like when you're, and I mean, you can ask for signs anytime, like when you're going through anything in life. But I suppose I use it more when I'm feeling like uncertain about something, and I'm like, what is the way forward with this? What am I meant to do? Like, how is this going to work out? Just let me know that it's all going to be fine. And so I remember I was in the middle of reading that book. I was actually in the hairdressers, and I was reading about it. And it, first of all, like, if you're going to ask for a sign, you have to choose your sign. So, which is a really cool thing. And I know you'll speak about what your sign is as well. And so I was sitting there reading this book, and I was like, oh, like, I am loving this whole that I can ask the universe to like give me direction, and she said, right, so you've got to get really clear on like asking, like, to figure out what your sign is. It can be anything. It can be like an object, it can be a number, it can be a song, it can be whatever. And when I was reading that, honestly, clear, I can even remember it clear as day. The first thing that popped into my head was a giraffe. And my sign is a giraffe. I've always I spot them everywhere. So the first thing that came into my head when I was reading this, and she was like, don't think too much about it. Don't put any pressure on it. Just sit there, get really calm and clear in your mind. And what is the first thing that kind of comes to you? Honestly, I was never thought about a giraffe in my bloody life before, but that was it. And I was like, oh my God, that is a sign from the universe in itself. That is what I'm like,
Yeah.
that is what I'm meant to be receiving here. So anytime that like I'm feeling uncertain about something, like, I've had a lot of back and forth about what I was going to be doing with work and things like that. And I couldn't understand how it was all going to work out. And, I would say, thank you, universe, for showing me the sign of a giraffe to let me know I'm on the right path. Well, I am telling you, they would start just appearing, blooming everywhere. Like I have seen giraffes everywhere. I mean, you name it, they pop up in the wildest places and things that you would just never, places you would never even think you were going to see a giraffe. You're like, they would just literally pop up everywhere. And honestly, my heart used to just like skip a beat every time they would pop up because I was like, thank you, universe, you're giving me a sign. It's all working out. It's all working out. So honestly, it's become my thing. You have given me numerous, like, giraffe cards, like, things with giraffes on them. Everybody knows they're my thing. My daughter knows they're my thing. Like, Mother's Day, she gave me like a cuddly giraffe, like, anything like that. People just know that is my sign. And I love that people know that about me now and they just give me them. And it's just become such like a special little thing for me. I love seeing my giraffe. I love it.
I honestly love that. I love that. I had a similar thing where the first time I did it was actually when I was reading Gabby Bernstein's book and I went through IVF to have Harper. And I had a really positive experience with it. I'm very, very, very lucky. And I totally know that. When I think about Harper, I just had this knowing that it would work. And please, if you're listening to this, because like I know how lucky I am. I don't mean this with any arrogance or, I just I've such a, like, I feel, I really feel for people who are going through IVF or have gone through it and it's not worked for them. I've had people that I love have experienced that and it's awful. And I just had this knowing with Harper that it was going to work. And I just knew I was going to have a little girl as well. And I tried when I was going through the IVF to make sure that I was doing things like I would get up in the morning and I would do like a visualization or a meditation. And it was all kind of following kind of Gabby's thing around, how to kind of make sure that your mindset's in the right place and ask the universe and all that. And to be honest, it was when I was almost in my infancy doing that, I would say.
Yeah.
So anyway, my thing was I read the book and I was like, right, a sign that my transfer had worked, because if anyone doesn't know, but basically what happens is, and I'm a rubbish person to ask because I forget details of this, but loosely, like you get your eggs taken and then they like do tests with your eggs and then they mix it with the sperm and it becomes an embryo. And then you've got to like, it's a long process. It's not a really quick process. So there's a lot of waiting. It's only sometimes, I think it's like 10 days until you can test once the embryo has been transferred, but it feels so much longer than that. And when I first started it, I read the book and I was like, right, what's my sign going to be? First thing came into my head was a pink love heart. And I was a bit like, that's a bit of because I just knew she was going to be this. I knew she was going to be a girl. I just knew. I was like, pink love heart. And I was like, that's a shit thing. I was like, do you know what I mean? I was like, I see pink love hearts. I send them on my text, like every single text message I basically send. It's my favorite emoji. So I was like, that's a bit of a shit one. But I was like, no, you've just got to go with it. Oh my God. The whole week, I never saw a pink love heart. And I was like, not on a phone. I wouldn't be, if someone sent you an emoji, your sign has to be a smack bang.
Oh my God, that's my sign.
It's your sign. And if you don't get a sign, that's a sign which we can kind of cover as well, because I've had that as well. So anyway, I got it and I was just like, oh my gosh, never saw it. And I was starting to like feel really upset about it. But I still was kind of like, and you become a bit upset. What you're supposed to do is put your sign out, answer your question to the universe. So my question was, is this IVF transfer going to work? and put it out there, and you're supposed to forget about it. And it's hard to do that, to be honest. And you'll find yourself like, oh God, am I looking? And I'm scrolling, and maybe I'm going to find my sign if I like keep looking on Instagram or something like that. I never saw it. And then the Friday after I'd had the transfer, like the Wednesday before, and I was testing on the Saturday morning, I think, or the Sunday. I think it was the Sunday morning I was testing to see if the transfer had worked. And I walked in to see my friend who I'm close with again, but we have been, we've been friends for years, but we don't see each other a lot. And I hadn't seen her then in like 3 years or something. I hadn't seen her in ages. And I walked in to see her in the coffee shop, and she was early because I was late, which no one would be surprised by. And she and she picked up her coffee, and she was like, "Hi, how are you?" And I was like, "Fine." Picked up her coffee, and she just had this huge pink love heart on her hand. And I honestly was just like, my mouth just fell to the ground. And I was just like, and she's partly the reason for me meeting my ex-husband as well, like the dad of my child, because she'd hired him and we met through work and things like that. So I feel like she is this person. And now she's as I get
cog, man.
She is. Cog. She is. She's now helping me as I kind of set up my business again. And she's given me the she's just someone in my life, I feel, who's like my kind of like a spiritual guide
for you, hasn't she?
She has. And I said this to her recently, and she's like, she would never have known that, but like I was speaking to her recently, I told her, and I just said to her, I was like, oh my God, I said, what is that love heart for? And I said, what's the love heart in your hand? And her little girl was struggling to go into school, and she was really feeling anxious and being away from her mum and things. So her daughter had a love heart on her hand, and she had a pink love heart on her hand. So flipping cute. And it was like to remember that, like, don't worry, if you're feeling anxious, just look down and remember that your mummy loves you. And I just sat there and I was just like, I know I'm pregnant. I know it's a girl. I honestly just knew at that point. I was just like, just know this has worked. So yeah, that was my big one. And then when I went through a difficult time, I asked for a sign. And it was the same thing. And I did Gabby's manifesting challenge.
Oh, yes.
You've done that as well, I think. Yeah. I think we did it at the same time.
I think we did it at the same time.
And then first thing came into my head, you're supposed to, so when you're asking for your sign, as Tay says, you get quiet, first thing comes into your head. And for me, it was a blue horse.
Oh, I love the blue horse.
I love the blue horse.
I love the blue horse. It's my one that I always think of for you, because I'm like, that's blue horse.
So the pink one's not my sign anymore. The blue horse, like not that it was a specific question, but for this, because I was going through a low period, I was like, just give me a sign that everything's going to be fine. Yes. Give me a sign everything's going to be better. And that's my like constant, like your giraffe.
Yeah.
And then you were supposed to go out as part of the challenge. So I was like, blue horse. I was like, okay. I was like, well, that's quite obscure. So like, that's okay. Then you're supposed to remember, it's part of the challenge. You're supposed to go out a walk and just see if you can see your sign. I went out. This is COVID. This is 2021, January. I went out a walk. I remember
this so well.
Honestly, I was like, it gave me through such a hard time, this huge hope, and that's why, like, partly why we set up Personal Growth Collective, because I just felt like, God, if I could help other people feel like this when they felt so shit. And like, I went out this walk, and it was the walk I did during COVID, literally 2 or 3 times a day, because I was sad and it was the only thing you could do was walk outside on your own most of the time. And I had a 4-month-old, 3-month-old baby. So I was just doing the same loop. And I honestly saw the blue horse 7 times.
Honestly, I remember
7 times on the same walk. Now, people are like, I saw blue horse 7 times. I saw a horse in a window that was blue. I saw a horse on a flower pot that had a blue saddle. Yeah. I saw a horse box that was like a blue box. I saw something that had a jockey with a blue hat on. I saw another thing with a horse that had blue around it. So it's not always a blue horse. And then still to this day,
it mostly is. You see a lot of blue horses.
And I was walking in London talking about how, like, I've taken the leap and I'm going to start like doing the Personal Growth Collective. And obviously, like, when anyone makes a change, any change, whether it be from one company to another or setting up on your own, whatever, you're going to feel apprehensive. And I was saying that, and I looked up, and it was on Regent Street, and in the window of Burberry. You're the only person, because I
I
put it
knew
on
what
my
it was for. I
You
knew
knew what
what
it
it
was
was
for.
for in March
That's on
Magic.
my
I did
March
know.
Magic post again on Instagram. If anyone wants to go and give it a like. We're joking, by the way. But anyway, a blue horse in the middle of Regent Street. And honestly, I just find it to be like so so comforting when you're
It
feeling
is.
low to
It is
just
so
know
comforting.
actually
It's
all going to
really
be fine.
comforting. I think that's what it is. And you were saying like your first sign, you had a specific question. Now, there's a couple of schools of thought on that though, that it's like, don't ask like a specific question. It's just, am I on the right track? And that's kind of what I went with, that I was like, is everything working out? Like, for me, is everything, am I on the right track with like, what I envisage, like, for my life and stuff like that. So I kind of, rather than having this specific question, was like, am I on the right path? Is everything working out for me? Is everything working out for me? That was what I was always asking. And the signs kept on coming up. But yeah, but the second time yours was more like that as well, that you were asking.
And I still,
because I think, a lot of what they say is like, but it's just one of the funny things I find about manifesting is that, like, people say you can manifest the life that you want, but then at the same time, they're kind of like, leave it up to the universe, because it's like, all unfolding. Like, everything is like, your life is a masterpiece. It's already been written, sort of thing. Like, there's no sort of thing you can change it. So I was kind of going with that, thinking, am I on the right track? Is everything working out for me, sort of thing? Because it's interesting to hear, like, that you can ask, like, if you're asking a specific question, or if you're just kind of leaving it open to just general, like, is everything working out?
Yeah. And I think like it doesn't have to be like you could maybe just say like a sign, in terms of, it doesn't have to be like, as you say, first of all, a sign could be anything. Song, I've asked for songs before, and I honestly heard this Beyonce song so many times after I was like feeling like, oh God, anxious. And then that song would come on. It wasn't even like a song that was out that much. I'd go into a shop, I'd hear it. It would come up on, okay, fair enough, I listened to it, but it would be like, I feel like, oh, it would play like 2 songs later and things. So it could be a song, it could be a color, like a colored item, it could be an animal, it could be a sign of a rainbow, it could be absolutely anything
that comes into your mind.
You can also communicate with the universe through, like, the other day when you were like, I don't know what to do about going back to work. And then the next thing you get an email being like, the childminder is due, or whatever. So that's like, it's not a thing. It's a thing, but it's not a physical thing.
It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like an object. Like, you can just
show me something that is going to guide me in a way that is going to bring me to the best outcome.
Have the conversation with the universe. Speak to it like you would speak your best friend, and just be like, right, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm feeling. I'm leaving it up to you now. Like, I'm opening it up to you to give me like the signs and the path to go, because I trust that everything's working out for my highest good, sort of thing. And then, like that time that I was like, I don't know what to do. Please just make it really clear for me to make a decision. Because, like, I'm a Libra. I blame everything on being a Libra. I'm indecisive. Like, I can't make a decision. Just tell me what to do. And it literally just shows up for you.
Yeah.
If you put it out.
I think the more that you, like, the more you get in a conversation, the more that you see. Because I don't think, like, let's say 4 years ago, I would have, like, you've got to build it. You've got to keep doing it and build it. Yeah. And because you've been doing it for so long, it comes to you quite quickly, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I do believe in that. Like, I remember when I went to this woman who is a bit of a spiritual healer, basically. And she would do like a kind of like massage, but like a really rough one, and like, to like click your body and everything back into place. And she would read cards at the end, which obviously I'm like buzzing for. I love little card read. And she said to me, you need to start looking out more for like numerology. And like, so numerology is basically numbers. So sounds like I'm some sort of mathematician.
Thank you,
I'll
Carol
keep going.
Vorderman.
I'll keep going. But yeah, basically, when you keep seeing the same number, or you see a number and actually repetitive numbers, that is spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, communicating with you and sending you a message. So when I first heard that, I was like, right, okay. And I honestly was skeptical. And then I never really thought I saw anything. She told me the story basically about how she was feeling uneasy about a decision, and a car like pulled in front of her, and the number plate was this number. And then she got a letter through, and then the number was like, the number came up like 4 or 5 times. So she Googled the number, and that's what I'm going to tell you to do. If you've got numbers that come up, just put it into Google and be like, what does this spiritual number mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically helping her to make a decision. And I, at the time, was a bit like, right, okay. But I was, again, this is when I was going through a hard time. And I kept looking at my phone every night I went to bed at different times. Like I never really went at the same time. And I would touch my phone and it would be like 2222.
Yep.
Like every night I would catch 2222.
I get that one a lot.
That's a good one. Or 1111 or 3
I always get 1111. Yeah.
Same.
Always sit on the bloody microwave. Honestly, it's like the microwave's talking to me. Honestly,
I see it sometimes. Like if I pause, like the microwave talk. Honestly, there'll be some people listen to this and be like, "Oh my god, these two."
Stace, the microwave's talking to you now. Yeah, she's lost the plot.
I see it all the time. Like if I pause a film on like Disney for Harper, which is like every single day, 10 times a day, and I pause it and it'll be at like an hour 11, or I see it all the time. And I also, so I think when you start seeing them, if you just keep seeing a number, be like, what does that mean? Or if like I now see 87 all the time.
Yes,
87, I'd say, is now my number.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And basically that means higher purpose, keep going with what you're doing. And that's how I see the person. And that's what's helped me do the personal
growth. Holy moly,
well.
that's good. That's a good one. That's like perfect for you.
And sometimes, and I used to screenshot it always on my phone. I'm running out of memory. Like
aren't we all? Aren't we all?
I paid the other day like a tenner or something a month. And I was honestly like, what am I doing? I just thought I can't go do it. They're just raking in the money.
Just taking the piss, man. But never mind, that's a different podcast.
But yeah, podcast. So yeah, just I would my advice on that would be just start to notice, just like try and be a bit more aware, and throw out a question and see. Honestly, it'll come. Honestly. But what happens if your sign doesn't come, Stacey? I suppose that's more related to a question, I would say.
Yes. So if you ask a specific question, I suppose, like, will so-and-so and me get back together? Show me a sign of a cherry. Just let me know that it's all working out, sort of thing. And the cherry never comes. And you're like, oh, God. That is also a sign.
It's a sign. We're sorry to say.
Sorry to say.
Well, we're not sorry to say, because it's a sign that if you keep with that person,
yes,
you won't create space for maybe something that's absolutely amazing that's going to flow in.
Stace, how many times I've said to you, the universe never says no. The universe only says yes, not now, or it's something better. So if so-and-so doesn't come back to you and you don't see that cherry, it's because the universe has got something even better lined up for you. That's so it. Fair. It's not because it's like, oh no, you don't deserve them. You just deserve, like, the scrape in the barrel sort of thing. But no, it's because the universe is saying to you, there's somebody better. Mm-hmm. There's somebody better. That's why I'm not showing you the sign. That's why it's not working out with them, because I've got something even better lined up. You have to be patient. You have to be patient.
You have to be patient, but you also have to create space for things to flow in. Mm-hmm. Like, definitely. And I think, like, if you don't see your sign, it's totally just, I've said, put out signs before and not had them back.
When you don't see your sign. Where's my friggin' sign?
But you have to just have that trust. I read something, I'm reading a book just now, and it was basically saying the difference between faith and hope. Yeah, faith and hope is like faith is that you just know it's coming.
Yeah.
You just know it's coming
because
you don't worry about it. And then hope is that you hope, but probably on some level you don't actually think it's coming. And I think there's something in that with like, you need to trust, like with when it comes to the universe,
bit, isn't it?
Oh my God. Please know that both of us find this extremely difficult, and we have to coach each other all the time on this. So this is not experts talking here, because we have to we're still working this.
God, no.
But you have to just put your request out there and trust.
You have to. It's like, I love the analogy of like, don't go to a restaurant and order food and then like, check. I mean, I do check when it's trying to come out the door. Like, I'm like, where's my food? But you just assume you've put your order in. It's coming. It's coming. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't question the waitress. Have you got my order? Is my food on the way? Is it? You've put your order in, and that is it. That is it. It's coming. And that's like what the universe is. Like, it's like your very own big Amazon. Like, you can just say, right, okay. I don't necessarily think you can just like put your order in for like, I want £1 million and stuff like that. And like, it's then just going to come, because it doesn't work like that. But if you said, right, okay, I want to, I want to create like a level of wealth that I like, I'm comfortable for the rest of my life, sort of thing. It's not just going to give it to you. It's not an order like that. But it will put opportunities and people in your path that like, might lead you to a job that's got better pay, or it might lead you to a business opportunity that you think, oh, well, I can get involved in that, which can then generate more money. Or, maybe it's, that I can turn my side hustle into that. Like, it will give you opportunities. It's not to say that you can just say, hey, universe, can I have £1 million, please? Show me a sign it's coming. Because it doesn't work like that. But it will give you opportunities to build on that, because it's always about inspired action. It's always about action. Like, nothing just comes to you, like, but it will put the stepping stones in your path that will lead you to what it is that you want for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I was thinking about like growing my business and things, like how I met my business coach was completely the universe in action. It was the most random encounter with her. I was in an airport. I just started randomly speaking to her.
This as well. I know.
It's so good, isn't it? I just started randomly speaking to her in the airport because I was having like a iffy moment, and I just was blurted out to her. I was like, blah, blah, blah. And then I just had this feeling, oh God, like, she was just so lovely. And she was basically like, well, I help people set up businesses. And I was like, oh, she's like, never thought about setting up a business. I know. I was like, well, I have actually. And I honestly started to think about it properly, and like, actually, maybe I could like leave my job. Maybe I could do this full time. And I was dabbling with it. And then it went past 3 months. And then I felt like I was getting, like I was away with work a lot before. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to leave. And I was away for a year, 4 big trips, and in 3 of them, I was really ill. And I felt like it was my body saying to me, like, stop doing this. Stop traveling, stop being away from Harper. You don't want to do it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm okay to be away from her sometimes. It's not that, but it's just like on my own terms.
No, but it used to be like, like a week and a half here and there. And that's a long time.
Yeah.
Long period of
Longest time was 8 days, and I'll never do that again. And then, so I was away and I was ill, a really bad ear infection, like the illest I've ever been. It was awful. I passed out in a burger place.
The worst place to pass out.
Like, trying to get food to not, so I didn't pass out.
So didn't pass out. And I passed out.
Irony. And I was like, you know what? This is me getting another sign. I kept seeing 87. I kept seeing 87 all the time. So I was like, I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I don't suppose you know anyone that could help mentor me or coach me? Like, I'm thinking about actually doing this full time. And she was like, I've got a group coaching program starting on Monday. Here's the details.
Oh,
and like, that's an example of like putting something out there, and then these coincidences, and like they feel like coincidences, but we believe nothing really is a coincidence.
Nothing is a
people
coincidence.
Putting things in your path to help guide you to the best route.
Yeah.
And the more you lean into it and the more you start seeing it and communicating almost with the universe, is like how we like to call it, the more you'll get those presented to you, which is just the most beautiful thing. Just gorgeous.
I love it. Honestly, I could speak about it all night, mate.
I could as well. However, it's 10:15. Stay turns into a pumpkin at 10.
I do turn into a pumpkin at 10 o'clock. Yeah. But it's honestly, it's like one of our favorite things to talk about. So if you do have any like, more woo-woo stuff you like would like us to chat about, please fire them our way. And we are more than happy to shoot the shit on it, aren't we? It's gonna,
we love it. And my friend started to get more into this, and her stories were just, honestly, I was like crying when she was telling me some of the ones that she had.
Beautiful.
Telling you, Stace, they're just amazing. But anything that you've got, if you're listening to this, any universe examples that you've got, please slip into our DMs, voice note us, whatever. We would honestly just love to hear them, because genuinely there is not a better thing that we love talking about. And
nothing makes me happier when somebody gets their sign and it makes them feel good. I'm like, yes, that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's about.
Beautiful.
Oh,
thank you so much for listening. And yeah, let us know. Please feel free to keep rating, reviewing, giving us feedback. We still buzz over that. Totally do. Have a gorgeous week, and we will speak to you soon. Bye.